Hey, Summer Launch Program teams. My name is Blake McLemore, CEO and founder of Train Collegiate. First, I want to say congratulations on making it to launch day. That's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. So, congratulations. Enjoy the ride. And please don't hesitate to reach out with questions or for advice or whatever the case may be. Also, want to say go dogs. I graduated from UGA Law in 2017, did some of the entrepreneurship classes with Jim, and did the Idea Accelerator. Jim has been a huge mentor to me. So, my biggest piece of advice is stay in touch with Jim because he truly does care about your success. So, shout out to Jim. So, what is Train Collegiate? It is a mobile app that connects adults and parents of youth athletes with local, reputable NCAA athletes for in person sports lessons. I presented to the NCAA as well as the University of Georgia, and then after getting the confirmation that the app complies with NCAA rules, decided to quit my job as an attorney and take on the idea full time. My target users are NCAA athletes that are looking to earn extra money in their free time using the skills that they've mastered over the years, and parents of youth athletes who are looking for extra training for their kids. There's also a little bit of B2B. I like to get compliance offices and athletic departments on board before soliciting athletes. So although it doesn't cost money for those schools, I always like to get the ones in charge on board first. My sales goals right now, not to oversimplify it. If you have specific questions, because this can definitely be broken down to yearly, monthly, weekly, daily goals. But from a high level, I want 10% of the NCAA athlete population to be on the app giving at least one lesson per week. And I want to accomplish that goal within 5 years. So right now, my strategy for going about selling it is get the app in front of as many of the right people within my target market as I possibly can. So I'm casting as wide a net as possible within my target market. So I've identified those people, and in order to get enough no's that'll eventually lead to that yes, I need to cast that wide net in the right place. At the beginning, my sales tactic was very simple. I want one parent, one college athlete to download the app, connect on the app, book a lesson, complete a lesson, and give me some feedback. So that was an excellent first step. And obviously, there's a lot more follow up steps from there, but that was definitely important. I mean, it sounds so simple, but I learned more from that than probably anything, especially up to that point. Then strategy shifted. I wanted to get anyone and everyone I possibly could on the app using as many tactics as I possibly could. To rattle some off, I partnered with local youth leagues, collaborated on social media with those leagues. I direct messaged people on social media. I went to these leagues in person, set up a tent, passed out flyers, had informational videos set up. I messaged leaders in different organizations and schools like principals, coaches that had access to my target market to try to get them to help me reach those people. I also asked athletic departments to help out with outreach. I did free t-shirts. I sponsored Little League events, school events, 5Ks. And then I also tried some social media advertising. I created an ad and then paid to sort of boost it out to a target market and target people. Whether or not each individual thing was the right thing to do, probably not, but was it the right thing to do all of those things? Absolutely. It showed me what would work and what would not work. And I think the what would not work was probably just as important, if not more important, than learning what would work. And I would have never known that without doing all of those things. I got to, at the same time, practice my pitch hundreds, if not thousands of times. I got to receive real feedback from real people. I got to receive those no's and had to learn how to swallow those and keep moving. And then I got the benefit of seeing the yes and seeing my idea of what I thought would be beneficial actually come to fruition, which was very rewarding. And I was able to realize that not everybody's going to purchase this, not everybody's going to be interested, and that's totally fine because one yes definitely makes up for 100 no's. So just get through those no's. So what worked for me was definitely the face-to-face discussions, especially as a young company. You're an unknown brand, so people can't really associate you or your business with anything. So being able to just talk face-to-face, ask questions in real time, answer those questions with real people, and allow those people to make comments, give feedback. I mean, that's the most beneficial way to do it and the most surefire way to get a download and get a new user. Also, another thing that worked was just making sure that while experimenting and learning all these things and determining what's working, I kept the message very consistent and very simple. I think it's important to keep the message simple and focus on that one thing that you're doing, even though you're experimenting with a lot of different tactics. I'll say that my planning took about 4 months. I think that was 4 months too long based on what I was trying to accomplish. And not to say that planning isn't important. I think it is important to know, or at least assume, who your target market's going to be. Have a plan for what you're going to say when you get in front of them. Have a plan for what you're going to do when they're interested, and then once they download or whatever they're doing to use your service and ultimately become a paying customer. Have that mapped out. But beyond that, just get out there and start selling. So the things that did not work for me, the social media ads, it just didn't really resonate. People don't know my brand, me as a person, and they see this thing and they just either keep scrolling or they have too many questions to follow up. So at the beginning, at least, and I just didn't have enough of a digital presence for people to trust my digital presence, if that makes sense. The free T-shirt thing did not work. It is maybe later on down the road it will, but I spent a ton of money on T-shirts. And I was passing it out to people that downloaded the app. So, I mean, you can imagine all you got to do is download this free app and you get a free T-shirt. Everybody wants a free T-shirt. So I ended up spending way too much money to generate very little income on that. Also I relied too heavily on leaders in organization or schools to do hard work for me. So I was asking for access to, their parents or their students. And what I learned was generally people outside of your organization or outside of your customer base don't want to help unless there's a direct benefit to that person. So I was doing a lot of follow up with people that just weren't planning to help me from the outset. And that's okay. I learned that. And that's not to say that doesn't happen all the time. I just learned to not take it so personally when someone says that they're not able to help you. Another thing that didn't really work was not keeping track of my key metrics when I was going out and reaching out to parents. There's an easy way to do that. I'm not saying get like super precise on measuring anything and everything, but definitely keep track of how much money you're spending when you're going out and marketing to parents. See how much it costs you to get that one parent in, and then keep track of how much that one parent brings to you in terms of revenue, because then you can see whether or not your business model makes sense. And then the other thing is just taking things way too personally. When somebody said no, I took that as they're saying no to me, my personality, my intelligence, when in reality, they're just saying no to a product in the market. So don't take things personally, remove yourself from your business and stay positive. These things didn't really work because, I was an unknown startup. Customers want to see that credibility, that trustworthiness, and to run a Facebook ad, it just depends on how many reviews you have. I didn't have very many because I'm a startup. So that just didn't work. And I will say, presenting to the NCAA, establishing these relationships with these big name schools, getting in front of an athlete and being able to say that, I did that personally. You just can't beat that in terms of selling your product to somebody, because that is the instant credibility and trustworthiness that they're looking for. Now, 2 years later, I'm starting to see word spread digitally and organically, but that's directly a result of my efforts, face to face. And then the other is just, like I said before, people don't want to do the hard work for you unless there's some sort of benefit. Luckily schools are seeing that this does benefit athletes. But from the outset, schools are reluctant to help out this, new company that they don't really know much about. Now I can go to schools with case studies and they're much more willing to help, which is definitely paying dividends. But like I said, you got to do that grunt work and the hard work and get those no's before you can get these easy yeses. And then where people are, or where leaders or organizations are willing to help out and it does directly get to your target market, take advantage of that and don't burn those bridges. I've definitely had a few schools that have been much more willing to, lend a helping hand, and I've followed that rabbit hole and made some just incredible connections and have seen downloads as a result of that. So take advantage of that where you can. But, obviously don't expect that to happen every time. So present day, things have sort of changed a little bit. Initially I was, getting in front of anyone and everyone. It was a great way to learn, receive feedback. That was my goal. Just get in front of people. and get the word out. Now I'm much more intentional. And the reason I'm much more intentional, or I'm able to be much more intentional, is because I understand what works and what doesn't. So I can stop focusing on the things that don't because I've tried them. And I can start focusing more on the things that do and making those things better. So now I know who to target. I'm constantly working on the most efficient and effective way to target that specific person. And that means keeping my cost of customer acquisition very low so that when they do bring in that revenue, it means a lot more to the business because it didn't cost that much to acquire that customer. And I'm laser focused on doing the things that are necessary to do what matters most, and that's drive revenue. And in my case, that means make sure that a lesson takes place. So, and then on the back end, I'm constantly challenging the business model. Did it make sense based on the number of dollars I spent to make that happen, based on the number of dollars I got out of it? And then, at the end of the day, too, you've always got to be asking, does the business model make sense? Am I generating enough to justify what I'm spending? And don't be afraid also to pivot. And that's kind of where I am now. I've opened my ears and my eyes and my business finally to new opportunities that will generate revenue or increase sales. I heard the same question over and over and over again from schools, and instead of thinking about that from a how can I answer that question in the affirmative and take advantage of that opportunity, I shut it out. I've changed that now. I'm finally listening, and I'm working on a new program for that basically addresses a new segment of coaches that need extra money, that played in college, and that can help with sales and user outreach. So don't be afraid to pivot, and just, yeah, don't be afraid to get out there and grind. It's not as sexy as some people may have you believe, but I'm telling you, you will 100% learn more than you probably would ever learn in a classroom or work in a regular desk job. So get out there and do it. Again, my name is Blake McLemore, and my contact info I'll just list here somewhere on the screen. Feel free to reach out anytime. Questions, advice, whatever the case may be, I'm always available. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you all, and good luck this summer. Thanks.